Have you ever walked a few steps and suddenly everything changed? Cars, architecture, people's clothes, yet you're still in the same spot? That's what people call time slips. Moments when reality seems to shift and you stray into another era without warning. Today, I want to take you off the beaten path. These are obscure claims of time slipping. Stories you maybe have never heard before. Real people, strange experiences, and that creeping question. Did time really glitch? You think your last walk home was odd? In January 1950, Miss E.F. Smith left a cocktail party somewhere in Scotland, and during what should have been an uneventful walk, she claimed she saw torchlit figures digging bodies in the snow. Her mind said Pictish warriors from the 7th century. She insisted that she was fully conscious, not dreaming, and watched as these figures worked in the dark and cold, moving bodies, turning them over, then continuing onward. The scene felt ancient and violent. When dawn broke and she made it back to modern streets, she described being emotionally shaken for days. That case stands out because she wasn't drifting into a prettier past. She claimed to witness something gruesome and real in an unexpected zone of time. In the early 1970s, 3 men working for a cattle feed company in Oklahoma, Carl, Mark, and Gordon, were sent to retrieve a feeder from a remote pasture near Ponca City. They claimed that on the first night they saw a large 2-story white house near a barn, silent and unlit. The next night they went back. The house was gone. No foundations, no rubble, nothing remained. They swore it wasn't demolished in the interim, just vanished entirely. What makes this case intriguing is that all 3 men confirm the same odd memory and the very stark disappearance. Was that White House a ghost from another time, or did they slip into a timeline where that house still stood? You're driving along a familiar route and suddenly a junction you know should be there just isn't. That's exactly what one motorist claims happened to him somewhere between Hawkshead and Coniston in the Lake District of England. He says that he drove past the spot several times, turned around, retried, but that turning, signposts, the map route, all vanished. Instead, an unbroken stretch of hedgerows, meadows, and emptiness stretched where the junction should exist. He knew the route well. He knew there should be a turning, yet that day reality had removed it. Eventually, he reached Coniston by a massive detour. Some treat this as a spatial illusion, but time slip enthusiasts see it as a moment when roads and time itself rearranged. On a bus tour through the French countryside, some tourists spotted an elegant, old-fashioned hotel. They asked the driver to stop, disembarked, walked into the lobby, chatted briefly, and stayed the night. But when the bus returned the next day to pick them up, nothing was there. The road, the building, the hotel, they all vanished. What's more, locals in the area claimed they never knew of a hotel in that location. Photographs the tourists took were fuzzy or failed to develop properly. The whole thing feels like a pop-in from another time. To this day, it's just one of those was it real stories that vanished just as quickly as they appeared. One night, 2 young women set out to walk a few miles to a village dance. The road twisted, the darkness thickened, and they suddenly found themselves in a landscape they did not recognize. A terrain that felt older, wilder, more primitive. They struggled to cross fields and woods that seemed misaligned with familiar paths. When dawn approached, they re-emerged onto known territory, but in between, they say they passed through terrain that no one alive seemed to know existed. No maps, no signs, just a forgotten sliver of land. Some say they walked through a hidden fold in time, landing briefly in an alternate geography. This is a more intimate, personal claim rather than one in the newspaper. The author of The Carolinians Archives claims that, as a child in Georgia, he and his family often visited an old motel restaurant south of Interstate 85. Years later, when he tried to revisit it, the motel was gone, replaced by strip malls and fast food. But he also claims episodes of time slip recollections legends tied to that place. Odd dreams, fleeting ghost stories, night visions of doors that open in impossible ways, places shifting behind walls. He says the place in memory sometimes feels more real than the modern version, as if the motel had flickered between eras. It's the kind of weird personal anomaly that makes you question how much of your memory is tied to time itself. Another story from travelers. A bus carrying tourists was driving, and passengers saw an elegant, welcoming hotel on the horizon. The bus stopped, people got off, walked in to ask, spent time inside, but when the bus retraced that route minutes later, the hotel was gone. The road it had been alongside looked different. Some tourists claimed windows, doors, elegant lobbies, but others saw nothing. It's similar to other disappearing hotel stories, but more dramatic because it involves a moving group, not just one or two people. The shared witness aspect definitely adds some weight to this very weird story. In 1957, 3 British naval cadets on training duty reportedly stumbled into a silent, deserted medieval village in Suffolk. They saw houses that looked centuries old, heard church bells that then stopped abruptly, saw no modern wires or features, and felt an oppressive silence. No bird song, no wind. After about 25 minutes, the scene snapped back and they were once more surrounded by modern surroundings. Cars, wires, and countryside. The villagers later confirmed that no such remote medieval village had existed in that precise place in recorded history. It's definitely just a classic ghost village in time scenario. In the 1970s in Great Yarmouth, England, a man claimed to enter a shop to buy envelopes. The assistant was dressed in Edwardian style, the prices were ludicrously low, and the whole place felt stuck in the past. A few weeks later, he returned and the shop was modern with standard merchandise and the assistant wore modern clothes. What's odd is that the envelopes he bought were types that had ceased production years earlier. That implies that either he slipped into a time when those envelopes were still sold, or the shop had become a mini time capsule for a moment. It's a small case, but one that lingers in odd collections of time slip lore. This one is a little bit more recent, and this one comes from Reddit. A family staying in a motel in the US in the Utah region claimed they experienced something bizarre. The sun set, they began dinner, then fireworks burst in the distance, except their clocks read 7 p.m. Within minutes, their phones jumped to 12:15 a.m. All family members report confusion. The kids thought they were early, the parents tried to rationalize it as clock malfunction, but every phone, every watch jumped to the future at once. Afterward, the world looked night dark, as if hours had passed. Whether this was a glitch in perception, a mass hallucination, or something even more bizarre, it remains one of those weird, personal anomalies that people whisper about in paranormal forums. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.